always on the prowl. They're sneaky and sly, with their eyes on the goal. They're the kings of the house, they rule with a pearl. Eminem loves cats, can't you tell from his verse? They're independent, they do what they please, but they always come back. When you have some teens, they rub against your legs, they pull in your ear. They're the best companions, they're always near.
Hold up, Eminem wrote a song about cats?
That's definitely a deep fake.
Totally, anybody could see that.
Oh, of course it is. I hate deepfakes. They mess with my mind every time. Wait, what exactly is a deepfake again?
A deepfake is a type of technology in which a person's voice and appearance can be manipulated to the creator's liking, often for comical reasons, but it can also be used to create a false reputation. Typically, people use it on people who are well known and have the ability to persuade those who are willing to listen.
That's definitely on the right track. They clearly did this to deceive the audience and to make them believe that Eminem actually made a song about cats. To be specific, Cornell University defines a deepfake as
the creation of new realistic-looking synthetic media, video, image, and audio, and manipulation of existing media.
I wonder where the name deepfake even came from.
Well, according to Meredith Sommers, a news writer for MIT,
the term deepfake was first coined in late 2017 by a Reddit user of the same name. This user created a space on the online news and aggregation site where they shared political videos that use open source face swapping technology.
Deepfakes are very common, but so deceiving that many people don't see that the truth is being manipulated. This can be seen in fake news or social media apps. You probably see deepfakes every day and you don't even know it.
Hey guys, my name is Alex Landry, and today I'm here with
Garrett White
and Kellen Watkins. We're glad to have you here with us today.
Welcome to TigerTown video podcast, where we will be discussing the connection between Nietzsche's essay on truth in lies in a non-moral sense and a commonly used fake news method known as deepfaking and its possible threats to society. It's some pretty deep stuff, so you better buckle your seatbelts and get ready for a trip.
So Garrett, you said that deepfakes are so common that I've probably seen them every day?
Yeah, they can be anywhere from being on a TikTok, Facebook, news sources, YouTube, and so much more.
Speaking of which, look at what Diepnep just posted on YouTube.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
Whoa, that's insane.
These deepfake creators make their deepfakes look and sound so realistic. I mean, I wouldn't want to personally create these deepfakes, but it sure is impressive how they can create a video with audio of anybody they want and connect their face and voice.
I'm no pro deepfaker, but I did some research and found that Dr. Ravindu Sarante, a professor at University of Moratawa, had some insight on how creators make deepfakes look so realistic.
Deepfakes depend on an autoencoder, which decreases the image to a lower dimensional latent space and reconstructs the image from the latent representation. Deepfakes use this structure by having a universal encoder which encodes a character into the latent space. The latent representation includes key characteristics of their facial features and body posture.
I'm sure you are thinking, what in the world does that mean? Well, essentially there is now a facial recognition algorithm that allows you to swap someone's face for another.
For example, if you wanted to transform any video into a deepfake with Kevin Hart, you'd need two encoders, one that is trained on images of Kevin's face and one that is trained on a collection of other faces. Okay, now that we have a good understanding of what a deepfake is and how it works, what does it even mean to us? Why are we talking about it?
Well, deepfaking is pretty complex, but now since I have a better understanding of it, deepfaking is just like fake news.
Exactly. Deepfakes has the ability to alter the truth in a number of ways, and their growing popularity has raised some serious concerns about the impact of synthetic media in our society.
One of the primary ways that deepfakes alters the truth is through the creation of false narratives. By creating fake videos or audio recordings of real people, deepfakes can be used to manipulate public opinion and spread false information.
For example, deepfakes have been used to create fake news stories or propaganda videos that are designed to look like they are coming from a legitimate source. This has the potential to seriously undermine the trust we have in traditional media and institutions.
Deepfakes also have the ability to alter our memories of past events. By creating fake videos or audio recordings that appear to be real, deepfakes can be used to create false memories that never actually occurred. This can have serious implication in legal cases, or false memories or manipulative evidence can lead to wrongful convictions or acquittals.
So if we look back at what we've learned so far about deepfaking, it can be concluded that deepfaking alters the truth in how we perceive a given situation.
Altering the truth and changing one's perception is typically accomplished by using rhetorical strategies. But before we go into what these rhetorical strategies are, we need to understand what rhetoric is. Why is rhetoric important? And what does this have to do with our topic and subjects outside of our topic?
Rhetoric can be defined in many different ways depending on which situation that this term is being used, but many scholars follow a famous Greek philosopher, Aristotle's definition of rhetoric.
Rhetoric is the ability to use the available means of persuasion in any given situation.
So in simpler terms, we see this definition meaning that one uses rhetorical tools in order to attempt to successfully persuade another individual of your ideas. Most uses of rhetoric are commonly outlined and studied throughout literature. Some examples of rhetorical strategies used in literature include but are not limited to illusions, inclusion of statistics, symbolism, and more.
Well, one thing that might surprise you is that rhetoric is not only seen in literature, but basically everything. For example, imagine you're in an ice cream shop trying to figure out which flavor you should get. Your brain tries to persuade itself which flavor you should get, chocolate or vanilla. Your thoughts then form an argument for each flavor in hopes to persuade you to pick that certain flavor.
This example supports the concept that rhetoric is epistemic. In a Clemson University student-made video named In the Defense of Rhetoric, scholars explain what epistemic rhetoric means for them. A Clemson University professor of English, Dr. Martin Jacoby, shared his thoughts on epistemic rhetoric and said that
it creates reality. What I mean is that it creates some physical world, but it creates our understanding of the physical world and our own place in the physical world.
So although it may sound silly, this sense of rhetoric that your brain, other people, and practically everyone uses on a daily basis helps you form your own thoughts and ideas about reality. For example, if chocolate is better than vanilla. But on the topic of deepfaking, this creator is using rhetorical tools such as the extremely realistic software and editing skills it takes to make one believe that the person they're making a deepfake about is actually saying what is edited.
Exactly. Although deepfaking does use great rhetorical tools to convince an individual or reform their knowledge, we discussed that it also alters the truth. This concept will connect to a well-known German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. As you can see, he has a pretty incredible mustache.
You got that right. He wrote a pretty interesting piece of literature called On Truth and Lies in a Nonmoral Sense.
well, I get this Nietzsche guy with the big mustache is a philosopher and wrote this essay, but what does this even have to do with deepfaking?
Well, in On Truth and Normal Lies in a Nonmoral Sense, Nietzsche argues that the truth is not a fixed object or concept, but rather a human invention, a tool we use to make sense of the world around us. He writes that
Truths are illusions, which we have forgotten are illusions, and that they are metaphors that have become worn out and have been drained of sensuous force.
In other words, Nietzsche sees truth as a kind of metaphor that we use to represent reality, rather than an accurate reflection of reality itself. This idea is relevant to the issue of deepfaking because it highlights the fact that our understanding of truth is always shaped by our perceptions and interpretations.
when we encounter a deepfake, our perception of reality is disrupted. We may see an image or hear a recording that seems convincing, but we know on some level isn't true. This creates a sense of disorientation and confusion, which Nietzsche describes as being
Lost in the labyrinth of paths.
When this occurs, we do not know how to distinguish the truth from lies, and therefore this can become dangerous if we assume that what we see is true. As mentioned before, disinformation is a serious matter, and as deepfaking becomes more advanced, information will become less reliable and more believable, which is when we will be truly lost in the labyrinth of past.
Good insight. But perhaps more importantly, deepfakes challenge our ability to discern truth from falsehood. If truth is a metaphor that we use to represent reality, then deepfakes can be seen as a kind of metaphorical illusion. Only this time, the illusions are created by technology rather than language. This raises ethical and philosophical questions about the role of technology in shaping our understanding about truth and reality.
In addition to this point, I think Nietzsche adds another layer to the fact that truth is merely a human invention. Later, he goes on that
It is even a difficult thing for him to admit to himself that the insect or bird perceives an entirely different world from the one that man does, and that the question of which of these perceptions of the world is more correct, one is quite meaningless, for this would have to have been decided previously in accordance with the criterion of the correct perception, which means in accordance with criterion which is not available.
This idea from Nietzsche points out the fact that everyone and everything on this planet perceives the world differently. With that being said, the search for a correct perception of the world is a meaningless task because in the mind of Nietzsche, there are no facts, merely interpretations of what individuals experience.
Yeah, all throughout Nietzsche's essay, he continuously drives home the point that the concept of the object truth is illusory. I would have to think that if Nietzsche were alive today, he would agree that deepfakes are adding to the elusiveness of an already impossible issue to grasp.
Well, everyone has their own perception and ideas of truth, but if someone made a deep fake of me saying something I never said, I think I'd be pretty upset.
That's the scary part. Deepfakes are mostly done on celebrities or politicians, but they can be practically done on anyone or anything.
Exactly. With deepfakes becoming more and more undetectable, it can become impossible to distinguish between the truth and what is fake.
The American University wrote an article on how deepfaking can affect the people the deepfake creator makes a deepfake about, and said that they inflict psychological harm on the victim, reduce employability, and affect relationships.
Exactly. Not only is this unfortunate for the victim, but the people around them. On another note, it has been noted that the artificial intelligence and software used to make deepfakes are becoming more advanced every day. This is not safe for the future of everyone's well-being.
With these advancements, we warn you all to do some research into what is real and to what is fake, because deepfakes alter the truth and can cause division between individuals, communities, and countries.
Now, guys, that was a lot of information to process, but to sum it all up, we discussed the basics of deepfaking, how it alters the truth, how it connects to rhetoric and Nietzsche's essay, as well as the effects of the increasingly advanced deepfake technology.
Nietzsche essentially argued that the truth was the fabricated understanding of something, which means that it actually is not true, as it is only an interpretation. As vulnerable as this is, deepfaking takes advantage of this by altering the truth, thus confusing our understanding of what is not true.
Exactly, and this can be detrimental to the future as technology becomes better, and that thin line of what is true and what is not will become so thin that we will believe lies to be the truth, or worse off, we will have to question everything to be a lie, indistinguishable from the truth. However, I understand that this podcast may be warning against the future use of this technology, but it is not always necessarily a bad thing, as many movies and entertainment industries are using this to provide characters that would otherwise not exist. An example of this in the Star Wars movies and TV shows, they were able to bring some characters back to life, such as Carrie Fisher in one of their latest movies. So to be clear for the last time, deepfaking technology should be watched and be made aware of as it becomes increasingly more convincing. However, it will not become a bad thing unless it is used for bad things. So essentially, to wrap everything up, robots will take over the world in the future. Just got you. Just kidding. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. We hope you have a great rest of your day. Please like and subscribe to our awesomely empty YouTube channel. And
This is a TigerTown video podcast.
And we'll see you next time.